This episode is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Guys, it's hard to believe, but football season is almost back. The NFL preseason kicks off with the Hall of Fame game on August 1st. I honestly did not know that. And soon we'll have regular season NFL college football again. NFL and college football. The best time of year in my opinion. That means it's time to make an account at the best online sports book known to man. That's right, I'm talking about mybookie.ag. You guys know I love them, we've talked about them, we've worked together forever, and I honestly mean what I say. I play with them all the time. That means in time, it's blah, blah, blah. That's right, I'm talking about MyBookie. Sports betting is exploding in popularity. Also true. If you want to get in on the action with a trusted company that's been in business for years, MyBookie is the place for you. With an easy, no-hassle mobile site, 24/7 customer service, which is great. I've used them a few times, helps with deposits and stuff. And bets on every sport and prop imaginable, MyBookie provides a fun, safe betting experience. Maybe you think Drew Brees and the Saints get their revenge for the terrible blown call last year's NFC Championship. Or maybe you think Tom Brady and the Patriots win an unbelievable 7th Super Bowl. Why not make money when your predictions come true? And if you deposit it today, MyBookie will give you a 50% deposit bonus. That's right. If you put $100, they'll give you $50. If you put in $1,000, they'll give you $500. It's that easy. Football weekends are the best, but they're even more thrilling when every touchdown can win you more money. So go to mybookie.ag and sign up today with promo code. It's already there when you click the link in the promo code below. At MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid. Last but certainly not least, we have Busy Baby Mat. Guys, look, this is the Busy Baby Mat. You set it on any surface. If you're at a table at a restaurant, at your home, your child, you can hook up a pacifier, something like a cup that they play with. You just stick it down. There's 4 suction cups on each side. Then when your child tries to take the toy and throw it, or they try to take the cup and throw it across the table, it's tethered and then it sticks. So see, even if something like that, you just push it down. I didn't clean this surface off like you're supposed to, but it keeps the toy, again, I'm throwing it much harder than a child would, but it keeps the toy tethered to whatever, and they're not coming off, and they're not throwing it off the table, and it's much, much cleaner. And then we found this stuff called Tasty Clean that if something does somehow manage to wind it up on the floor, this is made from apple cider vinegar, but it tastes like cherry. It's actually really good. My daughter loves it. You can spray everything down with the Busy Baby Mat. Wait for it 30 seconds, and then boom, it's automatically clean. Guys, go over and check out Busy Baby Mat and try it out today. You guys can use the code CAM15 at Busy Baby Mat on Etsy. This episode is also brought to us by NutriFit. Guys, NutriFit actually hooked me up with this thing of the vanilla cake milkshake protein, which means they're going to turn me into the vanilla gorilla I was always meant to be. Guys, NutriFit stuff is amazing. Austin, the owner, is a great friend of mine. Very, very great guy, and his formula has been amazing. Look at this. Read this right here on the side. I don't know if the thing's good enough. Grass-fed, hormone-free, no artificial ingredients, delicious taste, which is true. I tried that. And I'm lactose intolerant, and this did not hurt my stomach. So, guys, go over right now if you guys are looking for a good protein that's very clean. 5.5 grams of BCAAs, 1 gram net carb, 25 grams protein. This alone, you can't beat it. Guys, if you're in Middle Tennessee, go to any nutrition factory here in Middle Tennessee or go over to NutriFit.com and use code REDEMPTION for 15% off. This episode is also brought to you by Strikeforce Energy. Guys, we've ran with Strikeforce Energy for a long time. I'm actually drinking the new instant coffee right now. It's amazing. It's just as good as any cold brew you get through a drive-thru, and you don't have to pay that kind of money. Guys, go over to Strikeforce Energy, hit up the code CAM20, saves you 20% on anything you get. The easiest thing to do is honestly just get their subscription service. I sign up for a subscription, they send me the coffee, I get the regular Strikeforce and the grape Strikeforce sent to my house every single month, and I don't even have to think about it. Guys, go over to Strikeforce Energy and the code below, and click on that, use code CAM20, get you some of the best, I think, instant coffee that there is out there right now. Strikeforce Energy. See, I follow you on social media, and you're on just a complete media frenzy right now. You just did Rogan. You've been everywhere.
Yeah, we're trying to let it be known our intentions, and so we're just pulling off all the stops and um trying to get it out there that I want to fight for the belt. So
So let's talk about that. let's jump right into it. Mom champ, right? It's what it is. I mean, you should almost have it tattooed across your back at this point. It's as good as done. To me, I believe in speaking things like that out. I believe it's as good as done. How is it around the house? What's the feeling? What I know you don't have anything set in stone yet coming up, correct? Or did I miss something?
We don't have anything set in stone, but you know, we made it a point to go out to Brazil to watch the girls fight. We made it a point to take ourselves out to LA and get in touch with as many media outlets as we could, and let it be known that we want to fight for the belt. And I just think that, especially with the way the rankings work, that if I don't voice my opinion and if I don't explain to people why I think I'm justified in having a shot at the title, then people really won't understand it. I mean, if you're a hardcore fan and if you're really into the division, we all understand that I've been fighting professionally for 12 years and have, 3 times more fights than some of these other contenders that they're talking about. But if you're just a casual fan and you look at the rankings and you see where I fall, you're gonna be like, oh, well, she needs to fight a couple more times. And so I just want to get it out there, and I want to talk about the rankings. I want to talk about the division. I want to talk about my skills, my ability, my drive, my passion, and my goals.
And I love that. And the reason that I wanted to have you on the show is not only because I'm one of those fans that I cannot believe you're sitting where you are. I can't believe you're not top 2, top 3 at least. But let's talk about what it is right now. The fight in Brazil was absolutely insane. I have never seen a human being slam directly on their neck. And when I stood up, because I jumped out of my seat, because we were pulling for Rose in that one.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were, and when she hit the canvas, I stood up and I said, she killed her. I said, she's dead. I said, I don't think Rose is going to get up. $1 Million Baby came into my mind immediately.
Absolutely.
And I thought, is that even legal? Can you, because some divisions, some promotions are very different. I have a buddy who fights in M1, and the throws have to be very controlled. You cannot just toss somebody directly onto their neck. There's nothing in the UFC for that about landing someone directly like that.
Yeah. So I guess this is what I gathered from it all, because I felt the same way. I was really, I thought it was an amazing pile driver on Andrade's part. I will not take that away from her.
No, yeah, you can't.
She's a beast and that's like her bread and butter. So from what I gather, that it's illegal if you're intentionally trying to slam somebody on their head. And Andrade, when she does the pile driver, she takes them over her back, and she usually ends up slamming them onto their backs. But what happened was Rose was holding on to that Kimura, and that kept her in a position that put her in danger. And so because Rose decided to hold on to that Kimura, then it was no longer illegal, because at any point she could have let go and not landed that way. It
would have been the fault of the defensive fighter at that point, because Rose should have defended against falling that way, break fall, something, I guess, in the eyes of the rules, technically.
Yeah, but it was really scary. And I was in Brazil, and the entire arena erupted with, celebration because Andrade won. But my concern was just Rose. And I remember looking at Rose just kind of, lifeless on the canvas and screaming at somebody to open up the cage to let her corner in so that they could check on her. Because I can only imagine how my husband would feel if he was outside of the cage and saw me like that.
That was one of the first thoughts I had as well, because her husband, just like yours, is very active with her. I mean, he's in a lot of the media things that they do. Their family is now on blast more than ever because of her growing popularity. For you as a fighter in that same division, what was that like for you? Obviously, you fought Rose at one point. So what is that to watch the division completely change in that moment? Because up to that moment, everybody, I think, planned the division to go very, very differently up until that very moment.
It's funny because, planning for my goal ahead of me. I try to put the different opponents in front of me in different scenarios, and just trying to figure out, okay, well, if this happens, then I need to fight this person. But I feel like the strawweight division is such a stacked division that every time strawweights fight, the landscape of the division changes drastically. And so you can just never really tell. I think that Rose was winning prior to that. And even Andrade has said that, if Rose wants a rematch in her hometown, she's more than up for that. And so, but you also have to have respect for Rose's wishes and where she's at, because
Yeah.
if your mind isn't in the fight game and you decide to step into the octagon, it can be very dangerous.
So I wanted to speak with you about that because there's a lot. I love MMA. It's everything that I do most of my time now. And I spend most of the time watching MMA content. Here recently, I've been seeing so many fighters get their social media game up, which is fantastic. I, as a content creator, obviously love that. One thing I do not like, and it's a real problem that I see, is ex-fighters create channels, bring on current fighters, and then start talking about things like, well, what are you going to do after fighting? It's like, that's not something to put in a fighter's head. They don't need to think about that right now. It's the same as, to me, asking a fighter to come in but okay, let's talk about a fight. Well, go YouTube the fight if you want to watch it. We can
Yeah.
talk about, certain things about it, but you guys have the body of work that you have out there as artists. You have that out there, so people should definitely search those out. But what I don't like is when someone gets your guys' attention, and for a fighter's attention, it's a precious thing. Whether
Absolutely.
in camp, out of camp, the fact that you gave us, your time, it means a lot to us. But when you sit with someone and they start talking that way, do you have to almost tune them out?
So here's the thing, and I'm not sure who exactly you're talking about, but it is a really scary thing. And you have military background?
I do, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I correlate the two things pretty similarly. So when you're in the military, all you know is the military. And then when you get out, it's kind of like you don't know what to do with yourself, because all you've known is a structured way of living where you get a certain amount of pay, you're told what to do, you have a schedule, you have people that are above you, you have people that are below you, everything is set out for you.
Yeah.
And so when you get out of the military, you're a bit lost. And I think it's the same with a lot of professional athletes, because they devote their entire life on this one specific thing. As a fighter, I think that it's important to understand that your career is very short-lived and that you have to look beyond those years.
Sure.
Because it is a very short-lived career, and if you don't do it the right way, you're going to be left with nothing when it's all said and done.
Sure, and I completely agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, but I also I understand what you're talking about as well, because you don't want to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out either, because if you go into a fight doubting yourself, if you go into a fight hesitant, if you go into a fight like, man, I really don't want to be here, I feel like having a cheeseburger and cracking a beer open, then you're not in the right mindset. So I think it's there's a time and place for everything. Like at the moment for me, I don't have a fight scheduled. So I'm continuing my training, and I'm continuing to get better. But at the time, because I don't have a fight scheduled, I don't have a specific opponent, I'm working on building my brand. I'm working on things that I am usually not able to work on when I am zeroed in and getting ready for a fight, because I know that if I don't have my ducks in a row, when my time does come to retire, then I'm going to be left flat on my face.
I think, especially with someone whose nickname is the Karate Hottie, I think you're going to have plenty of opportunities when you decide that the cage door is closed for the final time. But right now, we're chasing mom champ status. That's what I want to focus on. So back to Brazil. Take us back to that moment. You're in the arena with everyone. Rose, is unfortunately defeated in that moment. Jessica wins. To me, the only thing that makes sense You and Rose, or you and Jessica need to fight. Hands down. Why else would anything else happen? To
Thank
me,
you.
why you wouldn't main card something this weekend that's coming up, which is a massive card, or even I don't know where the Dustin Poirier Habib fight's gonna fall, but for you to end up on that, I think an Abu Dhabi crowd would love you and love that fight, no matter whatever matchup that was. What would you think about something like that?
Absolutely, I would love it. I think, September, October timeframe is a good time frame for myself, and yeah, that's what I've been asking for, and so now it's kind of a waiting game. I think this weekend is going to play a lot into what happens after that, and yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling to me that I've won 3 fights in a row and I've gone down in the rankings, and some girls haven't fought at all and have gone up, and some girls haven't, like, I don't know. The
I
rankings are just
completely, I 100% understand what you're saying. And as fans, we feel that. The problem is, me as a fan, right? When I
Mhm.
tweet Dana White, he never sees that. He doesn't
Yeah,
really care. And what shows is the analytics and the pay per views. They're a brand and they're a business. I think what you're doing right now is the perfect thing. I think
mhm.
when they see the buzz and they see the fan base, I mean, if 1.1 million on Instagram's not enough, I mean, I think Dana's going to get that matching you with who you want to be matched with is in the UFC's best interest at this point. I mean,
Absolutely. It's a win-win. And like I said, I don't really understand. I don't understand the the waiting behind it. But maybe it's just kind of now at the point that I've reached in my career where there has to be a little bit of waiting and there has to be a push and pull and some negotiating. And so maybe it's just something that I have to understand, like, okay, well, maybe this is the next level that I have to be on. And so, I'm going after it. Outside of, my social media pool, I just I feel like I'm the most well-rounded female in the division to be able to contend against Jessica Andrade. And I think the stats speak for themselves. As far as like finishes and things like that, those things, of course, every single time you try to do, but you can't force those things. Otherwise, you're not able to fight in the moment. And when you can't fight in the moment, then you take yourself out of the zone, and then that's when you can get into trouble.
absolutely. And that's one thing I've always admired about you as a fighter. And I was actually obviously doing my research and watching back of some of your fights. And one thing that I noticed very distinctly about you and your camp in your corner when the fight is happening, one, the respect in that corner is something like I've never seen. When you're either your husband or your coach is speaking to you, one of them speaks. When they're done speaking, the other one goes, "Hey, it's your turn now."
Yeah,
That to me was so cool because of how, when you're like you've talked about, when you're in that moment, you need Singletary. You need whatever it is, and that corner knows what that is for you with the potential coming up. I've with you facing Jessica, you're stylistically, history is going to repeat itself. I believe that you will completely outstrike her. You said you're still working hard. Are we still at Jackson Wink / home gym and training down at Gracie?
absolutely, yes. So I
You are.
train at Jackson Wink, and then we have the home gym here, and then we're at Gracie Baja. I was just out in California supporting some of my friends at the Worlds, and then also Coach Izzy's down here helping Holly and John Jones get ready for their fight coming up in July, and I always take advantage of Coach Izzy's wrestling whenever he's here, and so and on top of that, my husband is an amazing boxing coach, and so we're getting our
Boxing
hands
never
ready
hurts.
for it. Yeah, so we're gonna be ready regardless of when it is. When it does come, we'll be ready.
I have no doubt. I don't think the fans have any doubt. So I want to ask you, when you walk into, so a fan wants, I always try to ask you guys what's not out there in the fight verse, because here's the thing, Ariel and all those guys are going to ask you the controversial. I have no interest in any of that kind of stuff. What I want to know is the stuff like when you walk into Jackson Winks, what is that energy? What is that like? And you've seen it at varying stages. You've seen it when Cowboy was there. You've seen it now. You've seen it in that transition phase. What draws you to Jackson? Because it's a historic place.
I was there. Let me just give you, like, paint you a picture of the first day that when I showed up, when I was there, first probably a month, and I'm there, and Julie Kinsey had just fought Gina Carano on the first Strike Force televised show. So those two ladies are pioneers for women, and anybody that's been fighting for as long as I have know who they are. And so, I had Julie Kinsey as a training partner, and then Holly Holm at the time was a boxing champion, but she still stepped in to do the kickboxing and the MMA anytime somebody needed a partner. And then,
got to.
And it was, the up and comers. It was the Tap Out crew. It was Donald and Leonard Garcia. And who else did we have? We had George St. Pierre.
Am I mistaken? Did Forrest ever hang around Jackson Wink much?
I never met Forrest at Jackson's, but it was GSP, Keith Jardine, Nate Marcourt, Rashad Evans. We had Coach Van Ardsdale out there, and then John Jones comes, and then that's like a whole different evolution of the gym. And then we move gyms, and then we get Ray Borg, and we have, just the plethora of people. Yeah. Alistair Overeem comes through. We have Andre Arlovsky coming through. Gosh, I can the list can go on and on of BJ Penn, of people that have come through, Clay Guida, Cub Swanson, just a plethora.
Can you, before, I don't know the layout of the gym, I've never physically been there yet, but when you walk into the gym, can you almost tell who's in there training just kind of by the energy in the room? And obviously there's some people who are more boisterous than others that you would probably hear.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell. And you can tell anytime Holly's hitting the mitts, because she's like, she is very vocal, and then, you always know when John's in the room, because, it's a crowd. It's like watching a match. People are always around the cage. There's four coaches with eyes on John, and everybody's watching because it's such an entertaining sparring match to watch. And he's just so strategic when he's training. Little John is fun to watch too. He takes up the whole mat station because he's so all over the place, like a little Tasmanian devil. And so it's fun to watch him, even him and Ray Borg go at it. Like when they go at it on the mats, it's fun to watch.
That would be I can't believe there's no video of that. If there is, I haven't seen it yet, of John and Borg roll together.
There, it's a very low-key spot. There is an opening for people from the outside to come in and watch, but really we ask the people to respect the fighters and their privacy, because at the end of the day, the gym is our sanctuary. It is the place that we go to have trust in the space that we're in, because you don't always have good days.
And I'm finding that now as I'm starting to look into the amateur kickboxing, Muay Thai venture. I just actually found a gym that really seems to fit me now, and they told me to tell you hello at Wildside MMA here in Tennessee, Clarksville. Oh. I do understand what you mean now. It used to be a different ball game to let people come in and hold cameras, but you see now it's very different. We have a fighter down there right now. His name's Nate Landwehr, and he's about to fight in 2 weeks for the M1 championship again, the featherweight championship. And you can just tell the energy in the gym completely shifted now because it's fight camp mode, and it's cool. I couldn't imagine what that would be like in a place like Jacksonville.
It's very cool, and it's something, just talking about recording kind of reminded me of a conversation that I was having with my professor, because he was talking about at Worlds, at Worlds you meet up with these opponents that you probably compete against your entire career because you move up in rankings as they do. And sometimes they'll have a special move up their sleeve and they'll get it on you and they'll win. And no, but you wouldn't be able to figure out what the move was because you had to go home and try to reenact it just off of memory. But now we have these little things called smartphones, and we just pull out the smartphone and record it and then take it to the back room before I go compete and break you down until I figure out what it is. And anybody can do that, really. So the game has changed a lot.
It has. And obviously, I think it's an advantage. I think it's a great thing. I was going to ask you as well, what do you think of the current climate in the fight game with the social media and the trash talking? I've never really seen you as one to do that. You hold yourself in a very high regard and very high respect. So I don't see that as being your thing. What do you think about all that?
It isn't my thing. I do think there's something to be said about having a voice and to standing up for yourself and speaking up for yourself, because if you don't, then nobody else will. But here's the thing too, like sometimes in life, in sports, in entertainment, you need villains. You need a variety of characters. And so I think that it's important to have the good guys and the bad guys, because without the bad guys, there are no good guys, and it's just one plain, very boring beat.
I 100% agree with you. I guess what drew me to mixed martial arts in the beginning was I was coming out of a bad spot in life when I found it. I was coming out of really bad alcoholism. Like you said, I was in the military and PTSD and the whole thing, and I was drinking a whole lot, and I looked at mixed martial arts as that discipline. I was already living that wild life kind of thing. So when you see things like buses getting smashed up, you're like, all right, I was already doing that. I don't need all that craziness. And I get it, to each his own, but it's one of those things. I guess maybe that's why I'm a fan of people like you. And I mean, again, there's other people who do a little bit of talking, but they're still very humble in victory and defeat. So I think I like guys like Dustin Poirier, who, again, that fight with Max Holloway spoke for everything. He didn't have to say anything.
Absolutely. I agree. And Max Holloway is such a stand-up guy as well. And that's what I try to explain to people. Like, you guys, these boys didn't, they didn't have to throw things through buses and get arrested to promote the fight. They showed up and they put their lives on the line for the world to see, and that was more entertaining than anything. And we walked away, at least I did, feeling like there was no loser because of the sportsmanship that they both displayed after the fight. And I think people need to realize that that's the nature of the sport. We're punching each other in the face.
It's a fight, yeah.
But I don't have to hate you. I don't have to belittle you. I don't have to do any of those things. For me anyways, fighting isn't about that. Fighting is about facing my challenges and facing my fears and overcoming those internally. And I wish that, and actually I do think that the UFC does a good job at highlighting the different personalities.
They do.
The problem is that the negative media is just so much more attractive than the positive media. So the UFC are giving people like me a chance to tell my story, but is my story going to be compelling enough for somebody to say, I want her to fight for the belts?
I can tell you one thing. I have always attempted to be the alternate. In every industry that I was in, I've grown and changed a lot in 3 years, and I went from being all about veterans and guns, and then I kind of got out of that, and I shaved the post-deployment beard and got into fitness, and then after that I got into MMA, and that's been my thing for like the last year, and that's really my life. But what I wanted to see about was when you go through these transitions in life and when you have to market yourself on social media, how have you stayed so true to who you are? Because the easiest thing it would have been to do, and I'm a father of 2 daughters, and I have a beautiful wife sitting out in the living room taking care of one of them if she's not already in bed. During the page and you fight, right? Marketing is what it is. Sex always sells. How do you stay so motivated to just stay Mom, Michelle Waterson, and that is what that is, And you know that in a sense, everybody knows that that's what someone wanted to market. And you chose to stay your moral line. How do you encourage young women, especially young fighters, to do things like that?
That's the journey that I was on. And I think at the point when I was fighting Paige, I was just very comfortable with the person that I was. And I was comfortable in my skin, and I was confident in who I was. And
Yeah.
I didn't need to be anybody else. And don't get me wrong, I've had a long journey. Like
Yeah.
they call me the Karate Hottie because I was doing a bikini photo shoot, you
Sure.
know, and I did a piece on my karate background, and that's how I got the nickname. And we all go through our own journey. We go through our ups and our downs, and when you're young, even when you're old, sometimes you don't know who you are.
Yeah, I think everything you've always done has been very tasteful, though. You know, obviously, like I said, me as a father and as a husband, I run everything by my family. So the guests I have on my show, to even the people I follow on Instagram, I let my family look and go, you know, what do you think about stuff like this? And my wife is pretty dope about not being real crazy about what she sees on social media. She'll go, hey, I think this person's having some real body image issues, and they wanted to, you know, really be empowered in that moment. And then she'll go, hey, I think this person wanted attention.
Yeah.
And I think you've always ridden that part of being very respectful and being someone that young women or me as a father would go, hey, you have someone like Michelle Waterson that, you know, and you have your own daughter. So let's talk about that. I mean, you're raising her, you're a mom champ. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess with everything that you've asked, I think the important part is, you know, I just try to be as honest with myself and with my brand as possible, because I think that makes everything that much more easy. I don't have to make up lies. I don't have to um, feel like I'm sugarcoating anything, and I can just be myself. And and the truth is, there are multiple layers to everyone. You know, I'm not just, you know, a mother. I am a fighter, and I enjoy fighting, and I also enjoy taking bathroom selfies, and I enjoy being silly. And so all of these things, I think you have to be able to accept. And so you just have to be comfortable and confident with who you are. And I think about my daughter when I decide to go forward with something. I think about my husband when I decide to go forward with something. Like even when I decided to do the ESPN body issue, that was like a really, you know,
very
tough,
vulnerable thing to do, yeah.
very and very controversial for my family, and very hard for my husband. Like, if I'm just being honest, you know, like, I'm supposed to be his everything. And
As a man, I understand.
yes, and
Yeah.
and we talked about it, and we sat down and we looked at the ESPN issue. And the issue wasn't about sexualizing my body. It was about showing the athleticism of my body and how I was able to get it to that killing machine.
I understand. Yeah, I completely. And how do you see, because, you know, how do you see Josh dealing with all this, as your daughter gets older and as you grow in popularity? How is he handling everything? I don't know if he's managing the camera or if he's anywhere around that he could wave. Hi, Josh, if he can hear us. But how is he
Um,
managing all this right now? I know you guys manage stress very well. You guys do weekly appointments, right, together?
yeah,
Yeah,
he he's amazing, and all I can say is, it takes a very confident man to love a strong woman.
it does.
And because you really have to, you can't have an ego. Like, to have a strong, like, I know so many females that want to get into the gym, that want to do weightlifting, but their boyfriends or the social media or their husbands tell them, like, I don't want you to be like all muscular. I don't want you to, you look like you're trying to be something that you're not. Like, hold on, wait, what? And it's just really, to me, I feel like if you're putting somebody down that way because they want to live a healthier lifestyle and they want to be confident in themselves when they're walking down the street by themselves home from work, and you're putting them down for that, that means that you have some confidence issues, and a lady shouldn't have to deal with those things.
That's one thing that I've always found, because what I was originally trying to get to in an earlier point was I've always tried to be kind of an alternate on social media. I always wanted to be the guy that was like, hey, here's the mainstream media, and then here's what people do who genuinely want to be kind to each other, believe that loving each other and just finding common interests and telling each other stories and learning from each other is one of the coolest things you can do as people. Then I found martial arts on top of that, but that's very violent. So that's a very yin and yang. I get to express both sides of myself. Do you find any part of that in you? Because I know being a parent is insanely stressful. Being a spouse can be stressful. Just having a job can be stressful. You fight for a living.
If you know fighters, then you know that they're absolutely some of the nicest people in the world.
I do, yes.
And I believe it's because they have the confidence to walk through life knowing that they've been through adversity. And through fighting, you learn how to humble yourself very quickly.
Yes.
But I always tell people all this. I tell people this all the time. You want to stop bullying? Teach an entire school how to fight.
Yes.
And I promise you the bullying will stop, because you're going to think twice before you say something to that person, because they could do something to you that you probably don't want to be done to you.
Yeah.
And so to me, what fighting does is it does a lot of things. It gives you confidence, because I feel like sometimes people bully because they have confidence. They're projecting something that is missing within themselves. And through martial arts, you try to push those limits. Let me go a little harder. And then you get put in your place and somebody's like, nope. If you want to play that game, let's play and see how you fare. And then you get knocked back down, and then you realize, oh, okay, so we're actually learning here, and I'm not going to go hard on you because I know that you could kick my butt. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to respect you because you put in your work. So I'm going to respect you. So there's so many things that you learn in fighting. You learn how to get back up and dust yourself off and go back in there, and you learn about teamwork and camaraderie and respect, and there's just so much that you can learn through martial arts.
I could agree completely. So you guys are heading out this weekend. You said you're heading out of state. You got a big UFC this weekend. Will you guys be watching it, or you get other things going on? You're not going to be able to make the fight.
We'll absolutely be watching that fight.
So, Cowboy Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I know in my heart I could never bet against Cowboy. That's on public record. I've said that a million times. I'm never going to vote against Cowboy, especially when he has the motivation like you have. Now he has danger, right? That changes the game up. What are you most excited for in the Tony Cowboy fight?
I hope to see Cowboy win because he's been at this for so long, and every time he's reached this point, it's been a crossroads for him, and it's been a situation. It takes him back down, and then he has to work his way back up. And obviously, he doesn't care to work himself back up. He'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. But I just love to see Cowboy win, and win like in amazing fashion, and to be able to just, get what he's been working for all his life.
Are you the type of person that sends a message to your friends when they're fighting? Maybe as a fighter, as a fighter on that stage, you would probably know better than anyone what that timing would look like to send that message of, hey, give her hell kind of thing. But like, what does that look like? Are you that type of person? Is that a thing that you guys do for one another? Is Cowboy even that type of person, or would he be like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no, absolutely. Any type of encouragement from somebody is great. I think, Cowboys the one that got me into the fight game, really,
Yeah.
from Colorado. So, I mean, even me just reaching out and saying, yo, like, it's your time, you got this,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
and something simple like that, a couple days before the fight is more than enough.
He's got more people out there rooting for him than he knows. I mean, I can see it. He doesn't have the time to be out there in the chat rooms and watching all the weigh-ins and everything else, but he's out there. And then so for the main event, Cejudo and Moraes, am I saying that correctly?
Is it Morales?
Yeah, I'm bad with the tongue roll, and I'm not good with it. What do you got on that one?
It should be an interesting fight. I'm really excited to see it. I was really impressed with Cejudo's timing and boxing in his last fight against
TJ.
DJ. And so I just know that this other guy is a really heavy hitter, but wrestlers are known for grinding it out, taking punishment and giving it back 2 times fold. And I honestly wouldn't categorize Cejudo as just a strictly wrestler. I honestly do feel like he's brought on his MMA IQ to a championship status, and there's a lot to be said to beat the champ of Demetrius Johnson. You can't take any of that away from him, and he did it very strategically. And who did he fight after he fought Demetrius Johnson?
It was Demetrius, the person you're talking about, and then TJ. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, and then when he fought TJ, he just.
I'll be very honest. When he refers to himself in the third person, I can't. The only reason I bought this pay-per-view was because Cowboys on it, and because obviously I want to see this fight. I hope that the third person thing stops when he gets.
That is so funny to me. I think that's hilarious that you say that, because anytime somebody does that, it's like, bro, we're talking to you. You don't have. It's not like you have a publicist inside of you answering these questions.
He's leaned into the curve now. Like, I think on the newest UFC embedded, he was like, I know people don't like me. They think I'm cringy, whatever. It's like, yeah, that doesn't fix it though. You still shouldn't do it. That doesn't mean you should just go ahead and keep doing that.
I mean,
it is what it is.
Mayweather made a career out of making people hate him and turn it and tune in to watch to see if he'd get beat. So,
like you said, that's some people's thing. But
yeah.
So enough about all those people. Right now, Michelle Waterson, Mom Champ, is out here training like hell to be Mom Champ. What does the next? I know your media going now. I'm sure any day. Are we waiting on the phone to ring? Is that kind of what's going on? Is that where we're at and everything?
Yeah, we're waiting for these fights to happen this weekend, and then we'll see from there. And in the meantime, we'll be in Florida. We'll be training.
Yeah.
And just continuing to get better. It really is. Like, I have time now. People don't understand, when you don't have a fight set, if you do it properly, that's the time to get better. Right now, I don't have to, chisel away at an opponent and zero in on what my game plan has to be. I'm an open book right now. I can go to the market and buy new tools and play with those tools and add new tools to my arsenal. And I mean, I've been fighting for 12 years, but every fight that I fight, I continue to evolve and learn and get better. And I have not reached my ceiling.
No, that's very clear. You've looked fresh in every fight that we've seen you in. Everything. If you guys are not following, tell people where can they follow you on social media. Everything that you're actively using on social media.
Well, I'm mostly active on Instagram, just because for me it's easiest to just take a picture and then caption it, and just live. But Karate Hottie MMA on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then I also just started up a YouTube channel. So it's Michelle Waterson Karate Hottie, and I've put up some tutorials, stretching stuff, and eventually we'll do more stuff like that, because I want to share the knowledge.
And you do a great job of that. I mean, again, I couldn't be more grateful that you took the time to do this interview. You were just on Fight Tips a couple of weeks ago, right? Or a month or so ago. You got to hang out with Shane and
just last week.
Last week, okay. Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. And you're so great about giving out content and showing techniques because, again, everyone wants to know usually about your lead sidekick, right? That's usually the first question you get asked is that because that thing looks like a monster.
Yeah, it's a great tool, and it's being utilized a lot more because people are realizing that it's really hard to defend against. And we'll continue to teach it, and then we'll continue to develop it so that when people start learning that, then we'll do something else.
And I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure with the hype around it now, your team is very, very intelligent, and they go, hey, if people are talking about it, well, now we've got to, work. So, because I don't want to ask about the front lead sidekick again, because that one is very, very popular for people to talk about, and you have tons of content out there like that. But when you go back and watch that with Shane, when you hit that first one, did you see the laugh from the legitimate air leaving his body going, I just watched it, and I've watched it a few times since the episode aired because I love Shane and his content's great as well. But that first kick that you threw, if you guys haven't gone back and watched that yet, do it because it's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
It's very,
yeah, that's hilarious. And at the time I just I guess I get in the zone and I'm like, all right, we're trying to teach this technique. So that's all I'm really thinking about is doing the technique correctly because sometimes I can listen to the critics that decide to type in the comments. So I want to make sure that people understand that I know what I'm talking about.
I think your credentials definitely speak for themselves if people look for it. As hard as your training, what does your recovery process or your recovery routine look like? I know you got a lot of stuff there at the house. You got plenty of different venues to use for recovery. What's your usual recovery process looking like?
Yeah, we do have a lot of stuff here at the house. And so I have like a daily routine really. Every morning I wake up and I go into the sauna for about 30 minutes and I roll out any trouble spots and I make sure that I stretch and I'm nice and warm and then I hop in. And so I have a clear light sauna and then I hop into my Furo Health cold plunge, which is it's kind of like a hot tub, but it's kept at a cold temperature forever. So I don't have to go out and buy ice. I just hop in and that's really, really helped with a lot of my inflammation. It's helped with any type of bruising, blood circulation. But honestly, what the cold plunge does for me is gets me in a hyper focused state of mind where my mental strength really takes over and I'm able to, just be in that really, 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 really cold water for 7 minutes.
It's mental training for sure. Have you ever done cryotherapy and you prefer to actually be in physical water, or you've never tried cryo yet?
I've done cryo. I do like the water better. I don't know. It's something about the direct contact of the water with my body, and also just there is something to be said about the mental toughness of that, of just knowing that you're getting through this, and the more I do it, the better I feel. The more I do it, the stronger I feel. And so I do that every day. And then I also have a really good friend of mine who is a chiropractor, and he's just right upstairs from Jackson Wink, and he has his office there. So his orthopedic center, anytime if I need somebody to check any type of small injury, they fix it. They have the compression boots up there that I get on quite a bit. And then Dr. Bo, anytime I have some type of pain in my shoulder, he's correcting it right away so that it doesn't lead to further pain. And so he's really helped me out quite a bit. And then I like to get massages when I can. That doesn't happen quite as often because it is kind of time consuming, but yeah, I think it's and sleep, guys. Like, sleep is so important, I think. So making sure that you give your body time to recover during sleep.
Have you ever tried Aubrey Marcus's morning cocktail that he talks about?
Yeah, the water with the Himalayan salt and the lemon juice. Yes.
Yeah. So I've done intermittent fasting for a while, and I take plenty of those supplements as well. And I started that recently, and I'll tell you that's about the closest thing that makes me feel the best on a morning that you're going to go spar is anything I've been able to find. What do
Yeah.
you use, especially on? I don't know if you spar in the mornings or not, but and you don't have to give any of your trade secrets away, but what do you typically find helps you the most before a good sparring session?
I like to, so, if we're talking about like supplements and stuff, what I like to do is a combination of their Alpha Brain packet packs, and
Yes.
I like the peach um, powder that you can put into the water because
Yeah.
I like the taste of it, and so I'll do the Alpha Brain with some Shroom Tech pre-workout,
Yeah.
and that gets me fired up really good.
What about as far as like eating? Are you a person who can work out fasted, or are you someone who has to eat before you work out? Or does it change depending on whether you're in camp or not in camp?
I think because the majority of my workouts are at the beginning of the day, I have to eat because if I don't, then I don't have enough energy to push through. So,
Yeah.
and I have to take medication in the morning because I do have thyroid issues. So I wake up, I take my medication, and then I have to wait for an hour. And then I'll usually eat something really basic like oatmeal or eggs, avocado, and toast. I used to put hot sauce on it because I love hot sauce, but the hot sauce gives me heartburn when I'm training, so I can't do that anymore.
Was that something that started in pregnancy, or that's always been a thing?
I honestly think it was from my pregnancy.
Yeah. So that's one thing I cannot let you off here without asking this question because my wife is definitely going to want to know the answer to this because she's been a fan of yours and Rose's both. It's especially since having our daughter is 7 months old. What would you tell mothers who think that it's very difficult to come back? Because you know very, very well what it's like to come back after having a child. Now, not every mother is chasing Mom Champ in the UFC, but it is possible for every mother to come back and chase their dreams and be healthy and be happy and grow from a place that can potentially be very dark for some.
I would say that the road is difficult, but anything in life worth having is difficult.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it. And so I say, accept the challenge, look the challenge in the face, and tell them, bring it.
What do you think was the hardest part for you finding that thing again, to find it where you went from the point of this is something I'm facing to bring it? What was that? Was it just looking at your daughter and you already have a fighter spirit because you fought since you were a child, so maybe that's just something that's naturally ingrained.
No, I would say that I was in a very dark place during my pregnancy because I couldn't do what I love to do, and I watched everybody else pass me by as I gained weight and wasn't able to train, and that was one of my biggest concerns. And I talked to my doula about it. I talked to my husband about it, and I felt like I was watching myself disappear.
Hmm.
Felt like I was losing a part of myself because after I had my daughter and even during my pregnancy, my body wasn't mine anymore. And then I just, there was just so many unknowns, so many questions that I couldn't answer because I didn't know. And I was afraid that after I had my daughter, I wouldn't have an identity of my own because my whole life would be about her.
Yeah. That's something a lot of parents I think can really relate to, and I think it's something that a lot of parents have a hard time with after your child is born, remembering that you're still a human being, and if you're not out there staying active and pursuing your dreams and pursuing your goals, you're actually disservicing your kids because I can't imagine the lessons your daughter is learning while she's watching you on this journey to mom champ status. It's got to be unreal, and I look forward and I highly recommend everybody going to follow your Instagram because your stories show much more of your guys' family dynamic There's some on YouTube, but definitely your stories is where it's at mostly, right?
Yeah, it's I'm incredibly blessed to have a family that is willing to be in on this goal with me, because I don't think I would be able to do it without them.
Yeah.
And it really does take it takes an entire team, and they care about this goal as much as I do, and I don't know what I would do without them, honestly. But I do think it's important because having a child, and I kind of been talking about this all week. You don't want to say like a child is an obstacle, a child is like a hindrance or anything, because Araya has changed my life in so many amazing ways, and in ways that I would never take back. But it is a change, and it is a huge life change, and sometimes, a lot of times, we aren't prepared for that life change. And it's not like you can get a break from being a parent. So it's sometimes, if you like, it's kind of like you're in a hole, and all you feel like you can do is dig yourself a deeper hole.
Yeah, maybe somewhere you'll find some air. I mean, and that's the thing. I think parents give themselves a very difficult time. I think you even have a hard time saying it. It is difficult to be a parent. It is. It's a hard thing to do, and that doesn't take anything away from our kids, but it makes it so challenging. But that's why people like you are so motivational, because you're actively raising a kid. There's raising a child or having a child be raised, but being an active parent. You and your husband are active parents while being in the fight game, and that's something that I can guarantee is not easy, but it's completely commendable. So that's something to be looked up to.
Yeah.
What can people expect to see coming up from you next? You got a book, anything coming out that you can plug, or anything at all?
Well, I'm hoping the UFC gives me a shot at the belt. So that's what
I'm
I'm hoping.
hoping so too. Well, like I said, I'm gonna keep tweeting at Dana and trying to do what I can and trying to get that one matched up. If he'll stop listening to Ariel and just tune into this one, then we'll get you matched up.
Well, even talking to Ariel, he said that he agreed, that he thought that it made sense.
Yeah,
But
it does.
I also have been working on a fitness app. So outside of my personal Instagram, I also have a fitness Instagram that's solely based on fitness and nutrition and motivation. And I am working on trying to build that. And so that is Michelle Waterson Fitness on Instagram, if you want to go check that out. And soon, here in the near future, we're going to be launching our very own fitness app. So I guess keep a lookout for that.
A lot of people are doing that now. I love it. Train like the pros. It's something that I think something that every fighter should be doing, at least the fighters that are able to be marketed. There are some fighters that if you put a camera in their face, it's just pure disaster. But clearly you're not one of those. You do very, very well. And when the UFC calls and that mom champ status is achieved, know you got a family here that'll be rocking a Waterson t-shirt and ready to follow-up interview with the belt over your shoulder.
I love the sound of that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Michelle, thank you so much for meeting with us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for asking me such in-depth questions. I appreciate it.
Hey, of course. You have an amazing night. Have fun with your family and send everyone our love.
You too. Good night. Give the girls hugs and kisses for me.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.